Imagine standing at the edge of a dark, suffocating abyss. You are only a child. The hands pushing you into that darkness aren't the hands of enemies or strangers. They are the hands of your own flesh and blood, your brothers. As the cold water of the well rises to your waist, you look up and see their faces silhouetted against the sky, watching you drown in fear. Most stories would end there, a story of a life extinguished by jealousy. But for Yusuf, A.S., the bottom of that well was not his grave. It was the first step toward a throne. This is not just a story of a prophet. It is a masterclass in divine timing. It is a story for anyone who has ever felt forgotten in a well of debt, a prison of illness, or a winter of betrayal. This is the account of how Allah takes the worst intentions of men and weaves them into a perfect plan. Yusuf was a boy of radiant beauty, but his father, Prophet Yaqub, A.S., saw something deeper in his eyes, a spiritual light. One morning, Yusuf ran to his father, his voice trembling with wonder. "Oh, my father, I saw 11 stars and the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrating to me." Yaqub's heart tightened. He knew this was a prophecy of supreme greatness, but he also knew the hearts of his other 10 sons. He whispered a warning. "My son, do not tell this dream to your brothers. Shaitan is a clear enemy to man. But envy doesn't need a dream to grow. It only needs a shadow." The older brothers gathered in the fields, their whispers turning into a poisonous conspiracy. "Our father loves Yusuf and his brother more than us," they muttered. "Kill Yusuf, or cast him out to some distant land, so that our father's favor may be only for us." They approached Yaqub with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. "Oh, father, why do you not trust us with Yusuf? Send him with us tomorrow to play and enjoy himself." Despite his intuition, Yaqub eventually relented. The next day, as they reached the wilderness, the play turned into a nightmare. They beat him, they mocked his dream, and they stripped him of his beautiful tunic. They lowered him into a deep, abandoned well, ignoring his cries for mercy. As they walked away, they dipped his shirt in the blood of a slaughtered goat. That night, they returned to their father, weeping fake tears. "Oh, father, we went racing and left Yusuf with our things and a wolf devoured him." Yaqub looked at the shirt. It was bloody, yes, but it was not torn. A wolf that eats a boy without tearing his shirt? He closed his eyes, his heart breaking in a way that would not heal for decades. "No," he said softly, "your souls have enticed you to something. So Sabrun Jamil, beautiful patience is most fitting." Yusuf was rescued by a caravan and sold in Egypt like a piece of merchandise. He was bought by the Aziz, the treasurer of Egypt. As Yusuf grew, he became a man of such striking presence that he was described as possessing half of all human beauty. The wife of the Aziz, Zuleika, became obsessed with him. One day she waited until the palace was quiet. She bolted every door, the heavy locks clicking into place. She turned to him and said, "Come to me." Yusuf stood at a crossroads. He was a slave. He was far from home. No one would ever know. But Yusuf didn't see the locked doors. He saw the open watchfulness of Allah. "I seek refuge in Allah," he cried. He turned and ran for the door. She chased him, grabbing his tunic and ripping it from the back just as the Aziz walked in. Through a series of events and the testimony of a witness, his innocence was proven. Yet to protect the reputation of the elite, they decided to throw the innocent man into prison anyway. Yusuf's response, "Oh my lord, prison is dearer to me than that to which they invite me." Yusuf spent years in the darkness of the dungeon, but he did not waste his time. He became the Muhsin, the one who does good. He healed the sick, comforted the broken, and taught the oneness of God. One night, the king of Egypt had a dream that haunted him. 7 fat cows being devoured by 7 lean ones, and 7 green stalks of grain being overtaken by 7 dry ones. None of the high priests could explain it. Then a servant remembered the man in the prison who could read the language of the soul. Yusuf was summoned. He did not demand an apology for his years of wrongful imprisonment. He simply provided the solution. "You will farm for 7 years. Leave the grain in the ear, except for a little which you eat. Then will come 7 years of hardship, which will consume what you saved." The king was stunned by this wisdom. He realized that this was no ordinary prisoner. He cleared Yusuf's name and appointed him as the Grand Vizier of Egypt. The slave was now the master of the world's bread. The famine eventually hit Canaan. 10 men traveled to Egypt to buy grain. They stood before the Grand Vizier, bowing low, exactly as the stars had bowed in the dream decades ago. They did not recognize the brother they had cast into the well. After a series of tests to see if they had truly changed, Yusuf could no longer contain himself. He wept so loudly that the entire palace heard him. "Do you know what you did to Yusuf and his brother?" he asked in their native tongue. The brothers froze. Are you Yusuf?" "I am Yusuf," he replied, "and this is my brother. Allah has been gracious to us." They fell to their knees, terrified of his power. But Yusuf, embodying the mercy of the divine, said, "No blame will there be upon you today. May Allah forgive you." He invited his entire family to Egypt. When the aged blind Yaqub smelled the shirt of his son, his sight returned. The family was reunited in a palace, the dream finally realized. Yusuf looked at his father and said, "My Lord was certainly kind to me when he took me out of prison and brought you here from the desert, after Shaitan had induced strife between me and my brothers. Indeed, my Lord is subtle in what he wills." The story of Yusuf, A.S., reminds us that Allah's delays are not Allah's denials. The well was painful, the slavery was degrading, and the prison was lonely. But every single one of those hardships was a requirement for the final victory. If you are in your own well right now, don't lose hope. Yusuf, A.S., was raised from darkness to a throne, and Allah's plan was always perfect. Send salawat upon the Prophet, like and share. If this touched your heart, comment, Allah's plan is perfect. Subscribe for more powerful Islamic stories.